Hi students, I wanted to quickly record a video for you for the group doc plan project, and in this video I'm going to show you two examples of previous group projects that were very successful. The first thing I want to show you before I jump into showing you the examples that are on the screen right now is the rubric for this assignment. So before you get very far into this assignment, be sure that everyone in your group has carefully looked at the rubric. So as you see here, as you see here in the rubric, the first item is the meeting with me, and you have to be sure that you arrange to do this. Probably the week after spring break would be the perfect time to do it. We can meet by Google Hangouts. We can meet some of you in person, some by Google Hangouts or Skype or FaceTime, but it's up to you to determine that, and you need to reach out to me to schedule that meeting. The next item shown here is the reflective memo. Those are individually allocated points. Each member of the group has to create a memo, and I discuss this in the assignment prompt itself, where I describe what you need to be sure you put in the memo. Now, the final documentation plan itself, that's what this allocation of points is for. So the items are that the document format is usable, well-designed, and contains no distracting features. The plan reveals an understanding of the document's primary audience, so that's the recipient of the plan itself. So if you're pretending that you are a group of tech writers creating a doc plan for an existing company, that initial audience would be that company, the company stakeholders who would decide to hire you. And then the second layer audience of the plan should be a group you keep in mind is the people who would actually be using the documentation. So I'll talk about that when I show you the two examples. You need to have a deliverable section that talks about what you're actually going to produce for your client. You have your group's ultimate plan reveals insights drawn from examining existing documentation for the relevant product, as well as models of doc plans. Now, let's say you're doing yours on a refrigerator, which is one of the examples I'm going to show you. There is existing documentation for refrigerators, like the instructions manual for that. Or if you're going to do documentation for like some other piece of technology that exists, like say a camera, a new model of a camera, there is documentation that exists for cameras, like a user guide. So you would want to consult existing documentation and use insights drawn from looking at those in your own plan. That's called legacy documentation. So if you are just simply making crucial improvements to a previous form of the documentation, you'll want to say that explicitly in your doc plan, that you're improving on the previous iteration of the documentation. The plan has been edited for clarity and correctness in terms of design and mechanics. That's simply, proofreading, grammar, typographical editing, those sorts of things. The plan has no distinct voices. That means that it's not clearly written by one person. There are no instances of the pronoun I, for example. And then finally, the plan is clear, well-developed, and anticipates and answers prospective clients' questions. All right, so now I'm quickly going to turn to two examples. Now, both of the examples I'm going to show you are for products that, in fact, exist. Now, this group did a doc plan for a tile. You might know what a tile is. It's a little gadget that helps you find things that you lost, and you can attach it to like your phone, for example. So the group came up with a little name for themselves, Cole and Maisie, and they said that they were working for Tile. They give an overview where they talk about the product itself, and then they talk about the fact that this product needs updated user documentation. They talk about the audience for the product. They talk about the people who are going to be using it, because that's crucial to establish so that the documentation they're creating is written for that particular audience. Scroll down, they talk about what they're going to provide. So this is a major subject heading, the deliverables, and then these are the sub items in this section. They're going to create a user guide, a quick start guide, and an HTML help section. Now, HTML help is a particular thing. Do some research about what HTML help means before you say you're going to provide it. It doesn't just mean, it's not just a general term for online help. Now, receivables, lots of students in the past have been concerned or confused about what receivables are. This is what you must get as an organization from the company in order to create the documentation that they need. So you'll see that most of the things they have in here are just following the examples in your models in the class that I provided you with, like the location and the deadlines and all of that. Cost and payment schedule. They create a really nice table here. This group had a section on legal issues. Not all of the groups did, and their agreement. So pretty straightforward, but really nicely done, very professionally done. Now this is another group. They did one for a refrigerator, actually one that exists. And you will see they came up with I quickly scrolled through their names so I don't compromise their anonymity or anything here, but they also appraise the situation. They talk about the refrigerator and the fact that it's complicated because it's a high-tech refrigerator, and that the audience of prospective purchasers of this refrigerator would need effective documentation to help guide them through using it. They talk about the audience of the documentation, which is the consumer of the refrigerator. The deliverables here, what they're going to provide, and their company name is Dock Writers of America. They say they're going to provide a quick start. They give an estimated page count. A help resource with 95 topics. They talk about their group's qualifications. So if you compare the tile group to this refrigerator group, they have somewhat different things in their doc plans, but they're both really effective. They talk about the costs, the receivables again, what they must get from LG, milestone dates, a nice table payment. And of course, they've consulted models online of doc plans. They're not just making all of this up off the top of their heads, but they've seen that some of the models they've looked at have these payment schedules. And then they have an area for signature for the people who are entering into this contract. So those are two examples of effective outputs for this assignment done by two different groups last semester. I haven't shown you the videos of their group meetings, nor have I shown you the individual memos that